as a fighter. I think he's amazing. I think he has great technique. He has crazy knockout power.
We all know Tank best weight is 35-40. You fought Barrios at 40, 35-40. And you fight Jake Paul, who getting better. I'm like I said, and he got 6 feet tall. Where Tank gonna hit him?
Gervonta Davis kicked off his first day of training camp for the Jake Paul fight with explosive intensity. During pad work, Davis ripped a blistering 35 punch combination, showcasing his trademark speed and power. His sharp movements and precision reflected the focus he's bringing into camp. Fans and analysts see this as a strong statement that Davis is preparing to dismantle Jake Paul with experience, discipline, and relentless pressure inside the ring. Gervonta Davis set social media buzzing when he posted a message on Instagram telling fans, "See y'all soon, I guess ATL going to be two-turn." He followed it up by saying, "Tell them to send that bag and I'm coming." The statement highlighted 2 key points. First, Davis is eager to step back inside the ring again, and second, he wants the business side of the sport to be respected. In today's boxing landscape where fighters must balance legacy with financial security, Tank's message resonated. It wasn't just a casual post, it was a declaration that he is both ready and motivated for what's next.
I text that again. Tell them boys to give me 150 M's. I'm coming. You know what I mean? When I start streaming out that, that, stop it. Knock it off, cuz. Stop it. Tell them to send that bag and I'm coming. And I'm, you know.
Before this fight was even official, Davis had made his thoughts clear about Jake Paul's entry into boxing. He once dismissed Paul's efforts as trash, reflecting the skepticism many professionals feel towards celebrities crossing into combat sports. Davis pointed out that Jake Paul likely pursued boxing because he got bored of other ventures such as YouTube. This criticism captures the tension between traditional boxing purists and the new wave of entertainment-driven fighters. Still, despite Tank's words, Paul's persistence has forced even the sports elite to acknowledge him. The fact that Davis is now stepping into the ring with him proves how far Paul has come.
What do you think of former athletes and celebrities like Jake Paul taking up boxing? You think that grows the sport?
If he's doing it for the right reason, actually want to do it because of just like actually want to box, it's cool. But if he's doing it for like the wrong reason, just to get the hype and stuff like that, I feel as though it's trash. Sometimes people get bored at what they doing, and they want to try other stuff. Got to be mentally tough to be able to box. So that's why I don't take that away from some fighters or some people that want to jump into the sport. So just show how tough you are. That's how it should be.
For sure. That's all I got. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
The Davis versus Paul fight has sparked a fierce debate within boxing circles. For many, the match confirms their fears that boxing has shifted from being a sport driven by merit and legacy to one led by spectacle and entertainment. Detractors argue that the fight diminishes the integrity of the sport, claiming that it turns professional boxing into a circus act rather than a competition between the best athletes. Yet, there's another angle worth noting. Boxing has always walked the line between sport and show business. From Muhammad Ali's charisma to Mike Tyson's pay-per-view dominance, spectacle has always been part of boxing's appeal.
Boxing has gone too far. Jake Paul is taking on Gervonta "Tank" Davis in an exhibition bout this November. The fight will be taking place in Atlanta between the cruiserweight and the 135-pounder, nearly a 100-pound difference between the two guys. This is absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below.
Former super middleweight contender Jesse Hart voiced his frustrations at those criticizing Gervonta Davis for taking the Jake Paul fight. Hart argued that critics are missing the point. Davis isn't abandoning legacy, but navigating the modern boxing business. He went further, saying, "Tank has the right to prioritize financial opportunities, even if some interpret it as joining the circus." Hart's eruption underscores the divide among fighters themselves. Some believe Davis should focus on challenging names like Shakur Stevenson or Teofimo Lopez, while others understand that big paydays, especially against globally recognized opponents like Paul, are too significant to ignore. Hart's defense frames Davis's decision not as betrayal, but as smart business. While many analysts favor Davis, not everyone shares that sentiment.
Circus, man, that's the circus. If you want to join the circus, that's the circus. I don't see the value. I just see money involved in that. If they want the money, if that's what they want to do, then go ahead and go ahead and get the money. But other than that, I'm not. You got a guy, Jake Paul, that's what, 6'3", 6'4", almost. Then you got a guy, Gervonta Davis, that's like 5'5", a little guy. Yeah. Y'all gonna try to, who's 200 pounds, just for Mike Tyson there, I'm gonna throw him in there with a 135. It's just a circus, and that's what they want to do to get money, to generate money in the sport of boxing instead of Gervonta Davis. This is a legacy fight. He was supposed to fight Lamont Roach after this, and then he say, no. Think about it. You really can't say too much. When you say Gervonta Tank Davis and you say Lamont Roach, there's still a question mark on that fight. It was still a question mark on that Rumble. You just gonna leave it and then go right to the money and say, no, I ain't. That's how you know legacy and everything don't matter. I did that before. I took the money with the Joe Smith fight when my hand was fucked up and, excuse my language, my hand was messed up, broke in training camp, and I still said, yo, no, I'm taking that, I'm still fighting him. I'm not gonna not fight him again. I'm gonna fight, we're fighting him, Dad. We're fighting him, Rick. We're fighting him, Fred. I went against everybody. Jesse, don't take the fight, man. Let your hand heal. Let's get the surgery. No, I'm fighting him. It's too close. We 3 weeks out. I'm fighting him.
Boxing commentator Andy Ross offered a surprising perspective by predicting Jake Paul will win. Ross explained that the fight itself is a great idea for both fighters, but he believes Paul's size and unconventional style could be the deciding factors. Such opinions reflect the intrigue of this matchup. Though Paul lacks Davis's pedigree, his size advantage, self-belief, and unorthodox approach create genuine unpredictability. Ross's prediction might be unpopular, but it represents the voices of those who think Paul has earned more respect than the boxing community wants to give him. Not all insiders are convinced the bout will even take place.
Couple more things for Lego. Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Davis.
Crazy.
Your thoughts on this?
I have locks with Snaggy right there. I think Jake Paul wins that fight. You're way look. Obviously, Gervonta Davis has way more experience. He's a hell of a fighter. He's done so much more for boxing and you know, than a lot of people. But to say that, you know, that's not, everyone's going to want to watch that fight. I think it's a genius idea. I think Jake Paul sets the craziest expectations, and I think he sets the bar so high now in the boxing world. Jake Paul revived boxing. You know, people can say what they want to say about it, but Jake Paul really revived the sport of boxing. You know, Joe Rogan once said previously, not so long ago, but he did speak about how boxing would eventually die out and all the eyes would shift to MMA. And it's true. I sit there, I'll watch UFC whenever there's an amazing pay-per-view event. I'm always watching it. Boxing, I don't really watch it as much. And yeah, you can call me a casual to the sport. I'm just getting into it. But to the people that are just getting into the sport, UFC is like the new boxing, what it was 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So Jake Paul is changing and reviving the sport of boxing, in my opinion. But I think that Jake Paul wins that fight. I love Gervonta as a fighter. I think he's amazing. I think he has great technique. He has crazy knockout power. Don't underestimate him.
You've spoken to him before, haven't you?
Yeah.
When you're doing it was you and Ron Garcia and Gervonta and Tank when they were both fighting.
Yeah. I just spoke with Gervonta today, actually. So when I get back to Miami, him and I might do something. I don't know. But, you know, I think, like I said, don't count him out, but I think Jake Paul wins that fight.
Coach Bernie dismissed the matchup altogether, saying he doesn't think it will happen, not even as an exhibition. To him, the fight lacks purpose and credibility, representing more hype than substance. His skepticism isn't unique. In the past, high-profile crossover fights have fallen apart at the negotiation stage. Bernie's doubts reflect a broader hesitation in boxing to embrace celebrity-driven events. Yet, with both Davis and Paul publicly committed, his take may ultimately be proven wrong. Still, his words highlight that even within the sport, many remain unconvinced of the fight's legitimacy.
I don't see, even at an exhibition. Now, first of all, we went with the Mike Tyson thing, right? So Mike Tyson, 60 years old. You know, obviously we all thinking that, you know, he had to pull his punches against Jake. Either one of them, both of them had to do something to get through the fight, you know, so they couldn't do their 100% thing in the fight. Now we talking about a 135-pound guy, 5'3", right, against a 6 foot, 200-pound guy. What is the point of that? I'm asking you, what is the point of that? What is the point of that, and how you think that's gonna go? So Jake Paul just alone on strength alone. Tank is not a. We just seen him struggle with Lamont Roach, right? Who's a guy his size. Now, Jake Paul is not as talented as Lamont Roach, but come on now, we ain't talking about 2 weight classes. We talking about 4, 5, 6 weight classes. Come on, we got to go from 35, we got to go to 40, 47, 54, 60, 68, 75, 90. That's 7 weight class difference. 7 weight class difference. 7 weight class difference. We talking about 7 weight class difference. We all know Tank best weight is 35, 40. You fought Barrios at 40, 35, 40. And you fight Jake Paul, who getting better. I'm like I said, and he got 6 feet tall. Where Tank gonna hit him? Where is Tank gonna land some punch? And he don't throw a lot of punches. Come on now. He didn't knock Lamont Roach out. You gonna knock Jake Paul out? So what's the point of that exhibition for real?
Beyond the money, some analysts see Paul's choice as a calculated step toward legitimacy. For years, Paul has battled for respect, often ridiculed as just a YouTuber trying boxing. However, his persistence and victories against former MMA champions have elevated his profile. Facing Davis, an undefeated champion known for his knockout power, represents Paul's boldest attempt yet to be recognized as a real contender. If Paul performs well, win or lose, he earns credibility that can't be dismissed.
And it definitely seems like this is that he wants the respect of legitimacy. He doesn't want to be looked at like some type of, circus act. Like, people think that he's doing these fights that are being thrown. He's not legitimate, and his detractors are saying that it's like, yeah, okay, well, you did this and you did that, but these guys were old, or, they were retired, or this and that. But the fact of the matter is, when you fought a real fighter, you lost. So people are like, you're not legitimate. That's what people say. So after everything I've seen on him, if he can beat Tank Davis, I think he'll have his legitimacy card. If he can beat or do something like Rocky 1 to where you got people questioning who won, then he's going to get all the respect in the world. That's how I think it's going to go. Because I've seen Tank just destroy people, body people, play with his food, with people. You know what I'm saying? Tank is legit as it gets.
For Gervonta Davis, this fight isn't seen as a career risk, but an opportunity to expand his brand. Analysts argue that defeating Paul would only make Davis more popular, especially among casual fans who may not follow traditional boxing closely. The global attention surrounding Paul ensures that Tank's name reaches a new audience. Furthermore, winning this fight doesn't end the possibility of legacy bouts. On the contrary, a rematch with Lamont Roach could still happen afterward. In this sense, the Jake Paul fight becomes a springboard rather than a stumbling block, enhancing Davis's popularity before he returns to legacy-defining matchups.
This is the type of event that will probably push him even further along in his popularity. If he puts on a good performance and it's an exciting fight or exhibition and anything, and he winds up somehow looking good in this, I don't know how it is. It looks to me David and Goliath, but David got skill and Goliath doesn't, but I don't know how it's going to work out. But if for some reason it winds up being a really fun event and it has tons and tons of millions and millions and millions of viewers, when Gervonta Davis goes back to his next fight, which I hope would be a Lamont Roach fight, then maybe some of that will wash into the next fight and it'll be a bigger fight and more money in it for the fighter that he'll actually fight next, who, again, I certainly hope is Lamont Roach. So why did he do it? It's very, very, very clear that He did this. Gervonta Davis did this for the money. And it's not an illogical thing. And if somebody in his situation has this to do, consider all things considered, hey, man, you know this is what people are going to do. So he has a fight with a tough Lamont, very, very tough Lamont Roach, who people did not say was a tough fighter before he fought him, but Lamont Roach is a very, very tough fighter. He had a deal already done to fight Jake Paul before he caught that draw. So if I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say, okay, great. If you get you already signed for the Jake Paul deal, that could be $50 million. I'm hearing the numbers I'm hearing somewhere around $50 million. Then if you go back and fight Lamont Roach and the anticipation for the Lamont Roach fight has increased, then you kind of get a double dip on it, and it may work out extremely well for Gervonta.
Shakur Stevenson also weighed in, offering a fighter's perspective on Davis's decision. He admitted that his pride would push him to pursue a rematch with Lamont Roach, but he couldn't ignore the financial incentives of facing Jake Paul. Shakur's statement reflects the internal conflict many fighters feel, balancing personal legacy with financial gain. While some prioritize championships in history, others understand that the right fight at the right time can set up generational wealth.
Included, and many people, including Shakur, thought Lamont Roach actually won the fight. So it's a highly anticipated rematch because of the night of the fight. The fight was actually 15-1 in favor of Gervonta Tank Davis. So the whole world wants to see Gervonta Tank Davis rematch Lamont Roach. Was it a fluke? Was it, a bad night for Tank Davis? Was it a style matchup? Bad matchup for Tank Davis? Does Lamont just have his number? They fought twice in the amateurs in close fights. What is it, right? And Gervonta Tank Davis, in the eyes of the boxing world, needs to rematch Lamont Roach. So Shakur addresses why you not rematching Lamont Roach. You was rumored to rematch him. He was rumored to rematch him in June 21st, he didn't sign. Then August 16th, he didn't sign. But he told you the night of the fight, the post-fight press conference with Lamont Roach, that he not rematch him no time soon because he already had this set up with Jake Paul. So Shakur says he would do the same thing as long as he could rematch Lamont Roach because of his competitive nature and his hunger and drive to be great in the sport of boxing.
Trainer Greg Hackett delivered one of the most balanced perspectives in the debate. He emphasized that Davis's decision stems from smart business, not desperation. Hackett reminded critics that boxing is called prize fighting for a reason. The pursuit of financial reward has always been central. He argued that Davis's choosing to fight Paul doesn't diminish his status as an elite champion or undo his legacy. Instead, it's simply another example of a fighter taking advantage of a unique opportunity. Hackett's call for respect highlights a crucial truth. In boxing, financial gain and legacy aren't mutually exclusive. Davis.
I felt like that in the beginning of it, right? When I first saw the headlines and I saw that they was, instead of him fighting Lamont, he'd be fighting Jake, whatever. At first I was like, damn, Tank, like that's kind of crazy, like that's fucked up. But then I started thinking about it throughout the day. I'm thinking about it, I'm seeing the posts and shit. And I'm like, yo, none of this shit is guaranteed. Like, none of this shit that we do in life is guaranteed. And it's also not a guarantee that we all gonna be here for a long time. You know what I mean? We all know somebody that died too early. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I know about life, when I hear old heads talk, you ask them about regrets. I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. I wish I could have did this. I wish I could have did that. At the end of the day, man, you're taking a shot at some money. We all wish we could have made that kind of money. I don't understand the issue. He could come back and fight whoever he want after that. His career is not over just because you fighting Jake Paul. Jake Paul ain't no type of fucking demon. It's not like he about to go in there with Godzilla. You about to play around for 8 rounds, 2 minutes with a dickhead. You know what I mean? No disrespect. But, you know, with somebody that think they know how to fight. This is a bank robbery. You know what I'm saying? This is what people do in the corporate world every day. Steal fucking money. He doing it. I'm not mad at that man. Fuck that. I ain't mad at Tank for some shit like that. I'm mad. I was irked about the fact that I'm a boxing guy and I love great fights. But at the same time, if I stop over here to make some good money and then go back to doing what I was doing, there's nothing wrong with that. Anybody who's waiting around for Tank, or anybody who's so tuned into Tank that they mad, they need to get a f***ing life. Because if you think about it, nobody got mad at Chris Brown when Chris Brown said, you know what? I'm gonna be taking pictures after the show, and I'm charging $1,100.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next.